Hello, Megan.
Hello, Michelle.
Welcome to the Spicy Brain Podcast. Where we are navigating neurodiversity with curiosity, joy, and
radical acceptance. High kick.
For those of you guys who are new, we're so happy you're joining us. We've got a whole bunch of new people from Twitch. Is that right, Meg?
I know. I'm apparently a professional streamer now.
What? Oh, we're going to go more into that in just a second. But for those of you guys who are returning, we love you guys so much. We have such a great community who always gives us such amazing feedback. And some of our OG people, you know who you are. We love you guys. We usually go through a book, right? And we're doing, and we kind of dig in. We try to, sometimes we have stories, right? I think we usually do have some stories. We dig in. Sometimes you dig in too far. Like we're now like week 5 on one chapter, but okay, sorry people, we'll do our best to get through it today. And then we definitely love to check in with our community to see if they have any strategies. And we don't always get to strategies, but we try. We try to pick books that have strategies too. But sometimes we're just in it. We're in
the muck of it. Yeah.
In the muck of it, for sure. Okay, so tell me a little bit about this Twitch thing before we get going, because I don't even know what it is. I think I got on it on accident. You sent me a link, and I think I talked to you. But I'm not sure what I was doing.
You signed up for it, Michelle. How did you accidentally get on it? Yes.
Oh.
You have a username. Like, how did you accidentally?
Is that what that was? Oh my God. That's so
Michelle,
funny.
You're not that much of a Luddite.
Well, I didn't know what I was signing up for. I thought it was a cooking show.
Sure. I totally believe you.
Anyway,
you're like, that's where Gordon Ramsay is. That's a long callback for all of our OG people.
I had to go look him up after that episode.
That is so funny.
He's mean. He's like a mean guy. I didn't know that. I was like, what is this guy? This is horrible.
For anybody who's new, Michelle didn't know who Gordon Ramsay was.
No idea.
And now she's saying he's mean. I'm like, yeah, Michelle, it's like his entire empire. He made his whole life on being mean.
Oh, I don't know. I just was like, what is happening? I don't know. Anyway.
Oh my God, I love it.
Yeah. Okay, so now you're twitching.
Yeah, I'm twitching. I've already been twitching. I might as well make some money off of it. No, but the idea is that, we're really trying to like find who our audience is and like be able to connect with you guys more. And so what it is like you just have, cameras up and like you can actually have real time interactions. So you guys can come onto Twitch and see me and talk to me and say hi. And like we can get real feedback in the moment. If you want to tell me about the podcast, I'd love to talk about that. Right now I'm working on a puzzle. So like people just turn on and they see my hands like putting a puzzle together while I'm talking to you guys, kind of like we're doing right now. Wow. And and then yesterday we actually did some marine biology facts. That was fun. We learned all about octopuses.
Oh, because you work at the Monterey Bay Aquarium. Super cool. Yes, I love it. Well, you volunteer there, but that's work.
Yeah. No, I work
for sure.
It's a lot.
You work. It's a lot.
I get done and I'm exhausted. Dang, I worked. But
okay,
so we're trying all these different things, and so I'm trying to convince you to become my co-host at certain days. So
I'm excited. I think it'll be fun. I'm excited to try it. I don't really totally know what it is. When I got on, there were different people who were chatting you, I think.
Yes, there's like a giant
there's like
stream.
Chat feed, and then I could see your face, and I could see the puzzle, and I could see the pugs.
Yes, we have the pugs.
You have a pug cam.
Mm-hmm.
That was cute. Super cute. Yeah, and you're funny, so I always like listening to you. But I think I got on. I think I was chatting you too. I don't think I talked to you.
No, you just chatted at me.
Yeah, I was like, "This is your sister Michelle," because I didn't know.
Like, yes, I know it's you, Shelm.
So funny. Anyway, so we'll learn all about that. So in all fairness,
and I'll leave the handle down in the comments if you guys want to, in the show notes, if you guys want to come and check us out on Twitch. So we're going to start doing that, and then you can come. I would love to hear from you guys. I would love to hear you guys and come say hi and
come say hi to her.
There's a lot of ADHD people who've already been joining us on Twitch, and so you'll just find people in community that understand you and get you. So please come and talk to me, and we'll we'll have a good time.
Ooh, ooh, ooh. You can say hi to the Mago.
That's right.
All right. So in all fairness, we started this podcast about an hour ago.
Yep.
With Megan starting it. And I don't know to this moment, we won't know which opening she picks until this thing airs. But whichever one doesn't get picked will be at the end of the episode.
Yeah.
Right? So then I'm just going to say if this one is chosen, and I will leave that up to your discretion, Megan.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to say right at this moment that we're actually cutting to where we started with a conversation that we had earlier before the podcast that kind of brought us closer, I think, actually.
I do too. Yeah.
Yeah. I always feel like this podcast does that for us, where we like might be on different pages sometimes and then we have to like talk about it.
Yeah.
So,
we have to come back to it.
Yeah. So here is to Raising Complex Kids with Elaine Taylor Klaus, and we'll go from there.
Okay.
All right.
Exciting.
I am a parent of a biological child, but even if you were a parent of an adopted child, whatever, you were parenting, and you are a parent, Megan, because you do have a stepchild.
It's true.
But I will just say this, that this one is raw for me. So you will hear me get a little more emotional maybe than I normally would, just because obviously I did get permission from my son, Josh, who's 18, to talk through things. But we have a lot, 18 years of examples of me doing it, who knows how. So like good enough, right? Good enough is kind of where we're at. But
and we just also even had this conversation about, being able to talk about this openly and freely, because I know, Michelle, like I think the thing is, like, yes, I am a parent and I have an amazing stepkid. And I do think of her as my own child, but like, I didn't raise her day to day. And so I don't know what those day-to-day issues are that parents have. And I think that that's the part for me, like, just like I want to be able to destigmatize the stuff that I go through as a kid, a person with complex conditions, I also want to help to destigmatize what parents have to go through. Because I think that, like, I can only imagine how much scrutiny and opinions people have. I mean, I just heard about, like, when my stepdaughter was being like just first born, like, I know there were people who had lots of different issues and thoughts about how she should be breastfed or not. And I'm thinking to myself, like, why is that anyone's business other than like the parents' business? Like, why does anybody else have a say in what happens? But people are like,
they're
really, they're brutal.
Oh yeah.
I had no idea. I'm like, this is my breast, my choice. Like, what are you doing? Like, so I think it's really important as we're doing this to kind of, guys, like, I'm going to do my best to really try to listen to Michelle and like hopefully help to sort of just think about, how are we judging parents as well? Like, I mean, I just was on a plane and I heard the kid screaming on the plane, and like my initial instinct was like, ugh. And then I thought, no, I shouldn't say that, because this poor person is just trying to get through the plane ride, So
oh yeah, definitely.
I think we can do a lot to help parents, and just like, as at least our group, like, can we try to start giving some grace to the parents out there? Because you guys are doing an amazing job. Yeah. And I really appreciate you. If you're listening and you're a parent, like, gosh, you're already giving your kid a leg up in the world, because you're taking the time to think about it. And I really appreciate you guys being here, because every spicy kid deserves to have a parent who's present and with them.
Yeah, that's nice. And that's like the most we can really do, is get to know our kids. She says it in this book that, really like changing our language from all the shoulds, like I should be doing this, or your kid should be doing that, or I should do this with my kid, is really changing it to like, I want to, I get to, I choose to. And I was thinking about that with Josh and trying to figure out, how do I translate that into things for me with him? And part of it is letting go also of any resentments I might have And she talks about this in the next part of this chapter 1. We're only on chapter 1. I think it's been like 5 episodes. Sorry, people. We've gotten really deep in it. But this idea of
So
like letting
good.
go of resentments around things with yourself, also with your partner. So I'll talk a little bit about the examples she brought up, but also this like idea of acceptance of who our kids are. And I think those two things sort of have to happen before you really can get rid of the shoulds, in my mind.
Yeah.
And the resentment piece I thought was interesting is that there's sort of these like, especially if you're partnering with somebody that you're trying to raise a complex kid with, this idea that there's sort of these imaginary conversations that happen. I mean, it's interesting to me. Sometimes like you come in and somebody's upset about something, right? And you're like, oh my God, they had a whole conversation without me. We just did this. I had
know,
a
I was
whole
gonna say,
conversation without you before we
did.
were getting ready for this one. And I was telling her how the last episode I had some, I just was feeling sensitive, right, about it. And so I had like kind of inadvertently, I was just realizing like had this entire conversation, I guess, in my head that you came halfway into because I started finally telling you. And because I hadn't started with you, you're like, whoa, back up, as my friend Ellen will say, like back up. Like, what the heck is this? And so it really changes, like when we as co-parents or when we as friends or siblings or whatever, our help, because I always co-hosts, whatever, like we don't have the conversation in real time.
Yeah.
Then it's like you're always trying to play catch up. And
it's
anyway,
so hard to have a conversation in real time. Like it just takes time to figure that out.
Right.
And, I think we actually should kind of go into a little bit like what happens. I think that is actually will help us talk about this part of the chapter. Because, one of the things that we came to today was like, can we start telling each other in real time, hey, I'm feeling judged, or hey, I'm feeling emotional, or, can we start having that so that we can tell the other person what's going on, right? Just like you guys want me whenever I'm in pain, you want me to tell you in real time I'm in pain.
It's hard to do.
It's really hard to do. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And what was interesting, she says that resentment blossoms in silence. And it halts like communication. But that also, the resentment withers away in the face of open communication. I think her husband actually wrote a blog about it, but I thought that was lovely, like withers away in the face of open communication. And so this idea of like, I was feeling a little resentful of our last podcast with you, and I'm feeling frustrated, and I'm feeling like, I'm not heard, or my view of how I was parenting Josh wasn't being honored or whatever. But that would happen with
and
co-parents
you felt like,
too, right?
Yeah. And I think, I'm going to put you a little on the spot if that's okay.
Sure.
I think like, I heard you say that you felt like I was judging you.
Yeah.
And not like, really, it was hard for you to hear when I was saying like, I didn't like how you were saying certain phrases.
Yeah.
And so it was interesting to like listen and hear your side of it. And yeah, like that, there is this kind of like resentment. I don't know if that's what you would have called it, but like, I can see that there would be like this, but like if we had let it fester, if we hadn't dealt with it, I could see it totally turning into resentment. I could totally have seen it being like, okay, well, that was one day, that was one podcast. Let's do another one. Oh, it happened again. And then it happens again. And then it's continuing to happen. And you know what?
Yes.
I, Michelle, I'm just saying, I'm going to pretend like I'm talking like you for a second.
Okay.
Michelle, am, trying my best to be open and curious with Megan and her issues. And she's not doing the same thing for me. She's not giving, like, I don't feel like she's giving me the forwarding the same, I could see how that could ultimately lead down that path. And
yeah.
I think when you're like, right.
When you're like a parent with a kid, that happens, right? Like you deal with something with your kid, you do it, and then your partner has a judgment, or you feel your partner has a judgment, or even worse, just isn't there.
Yeah.
They check out and you're left holding the bag. And then you're like resentful because you're like, well, wait, I'm left holding the bag and I've got this kid who's super complex and I don't know what to do. I've never parented before, or maybe I have parented before, but I've never parented a complex kid before. And then it immediately puts you as other to each other, right? Like you all were on the same page. You wanted to get married or you wanted to partner together and life is good and blah, 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 blah. And now you have this really challenging situation potentially. And that if you can stay curious, which is super hard, right? And so sometimes we have challenging situations on this podcast because we're trying to navigate. We don't have the same brain, you know?
No. And we came together. We said, hey, we want to do this podcast together. And so we decided on this journey. And, you know, we've now gone this new, like we like to go through these books. And this book is, you know, challenging and touching on you in a way that I don't think really even you thought it would do. And
no,
so
I was pretty sure it was going to do. But
you were?
Oh, yeah. I was like parenting. I'm like, oh, God, I don't want to do this one. Can we do anything else? But then I was like, you know what? That's probably the sign that I need to do it. So I knew
That's
it was going to be
right there.
Well, I don't know if it's maturity as much as just like,
no,
I guess.
Okay.
It's maturity. Sure.
I'm going to stop you right there. It's maturity. Because like you could have said no and be like, no, I really feel like we should do this other one.
And I think you have to be able to be vulnerable. And they said this in this book, like letting go of these resentments requires vulnerability, and letting go. Part of what I'm letting go of, I think also is resentment of my former partner. Like it was very difficult. Right. And a lot of marriages don't make it through these types of challenges. And I'm not saying that was the reason we didn't make it through. I just know that it made whatever was already difficult more. Right. So there's a lot of parts of this. And you're right though, that I knew it, I didn't know how I was going to handle the emotional, I didn't think that through. I didn't think like, oh, I'm going to I knew it was going to be hard. I just didn't think, oh, I'm going to be emotional on this podcast. And now I'm not used to being in that space. Like Megan is, but I'm not. So, and you have all this acting background and like, I'm not saying like you're an actor on this. I'm saying, but you have had to deal with how do you get to your emotional space, these emotional spaces all the time. And you've made a lot of room for that in your life. And I'm like a math teacher, you know, like I make a lot of space for other people's emotions
for numbers.
People have a lot of emotions around math, but I don't always have room for myself with that. So I think that's been a challenge for me for sure.
And I do think that that's really what is beautiful about what you did today, is that you allowed for yourself to not, you didn't stay silent, as she says, you know, and you brought it up, and as hard and difficult as it was in the beginning, and like, you know, we were talking and I'm listening and I'm just like, I don't know what to say. Like, I'm just going to listen. I'm just going to like stay here and be present, and we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And it was very, like, it wasn't comfortable for either of us in the beginning when we were talking it through. And I think there was a point like where I think you said like, well, let's just get curious. Like, I was like, because you were asking me like, what did I feel in the moment, you know? And so I think that was the whole thing. It's like,
from our last podcast. Yeah. Like, what were you feeling and all this?
What Elaine Taylor Klaus was saying is that you end up having this whole conversation with the other person. So you had an entire conversation with me in a weird way without me there.
Right.
And then,
I mean, I wouldn't have said that's what I did, but I'm sure that's what because you're like kind of thinking through something and you're like, well, wait a minute. Why did that? What the heck? That didn't feel right. That didn't feel good.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Right. Yeah.
And so then you tell me about it. And so then so then I'm listening, and it's like, you know, there's like this whole thing, and I'm like, okay, so I'm trying to figure out, so what does she want me to do? I'm like, how can I fix this? Like, what can I do to like solve the problem? Is it something where I just need to like listen to her feelings, or like, it sounds like there's something that she wants from me. And so that was the point, I think, where, you know, I was asking, I'm like, what do you need in this moment? Like when, you know, you feel like I'm judging you, or like, how do I know if I'm like, I think what you had said was like, oh, I feel like I'm being judged. And I was like, but did I feel like I was judging you the whole time? And it was like, no, it was just certain spots. And I was like, okay. So then I was trying to figure out, well, how do I know those spots? And what was interesting is that I think you finally said, well, I think what would help me is if I knew what you were feeling in that moment that I was telling you how I felt. And that's, I think, when things shifted for us, is that it was, oh, okay. So in that moment, like, yes, there was one moment where I for sure was like thinking, I love you and I love my nephew and I want to help. And so then I provided thoughts of like, oh, therapy or whatever. And like that was not helpful. And so I recognized that I need to be more curious in that moment because like I sure as heck don't need to tell you what you should be doing. But then the other moment that you were talking about was when I think you had mentioned that like you said, he's never going to have a butler. That's what we said last time. And I was like, ugh, I had this like gut punch. And it wasn't that I was judging you in that moment. It was like, I just felt so completely inadequate. And like, it brought up all the stuff that we've been talking about. And so then it helped, I think, for you to see it wasn't me judging you. It was this like, oh, like it was totally not about you when I said it.
Right.
And so, and that's what was interesting is that like it did, what does she say, Michelle? It cleared the way, it cleared the path for understanding and for, how did she say
like
that?
the resentment or whatever was sort of blossoming there withered away in the face
it withered away.
Withered away in the face of open communication. Yeah.
Because we finally had open communication about it. You were able to say, hey, this is how I felt. And I was like, oh, wait, but this is how I felt. And then that open communication allowed for this resentment to just like.
Oh, God.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, that's so funny.
I'm such an idiot.
Yeah. It's funny because he was saying that like sometimes like resentment actually feels easier than having the difficult conversations. And I'm like, you know
For
what?
sure.
That is true. That is fact. And it requires a vulnerability, right? To start the conversation, to get curious. And we use that word a lot. Like, I'd like to be curious with you right now. We say that kind of often. And I've said that more in my life. And when I say it, it changes kind of, and this is what I think she goes to as well, is that the language we use matters. Like a different way of saying, if I say, oh, he's never going to have a butler, that's automatically putting somebody, yourself included, him included, in sort of a defensive position because it's saying like what he doesn't have, right?
Yeah.
And my point in saying it was, I felt like it was the saying of, okay, he's always going to be spontaneous. He's always going to be curious about life. And sometimes that's going to lead him down a rabbit hole. That means he goes to bed at 3 a.m. And that 3 a.m. rabbit hole is real and is likely. So that's the next piece of this, which is acceptance. And so I need a different way to say he doesn't have a butler to tell him to go to bed. I need to say he's curious. He's going to go down these rabbit holes. That's going to lead him in directions in life I can't even imagine yet that are interesting and exciting. And yet there's still going to be this need for support. And I feel like everybody needs support for something in their life, right? But accepting that there's no amount of training or screaming or reminding
or preparing
him for this part of his brain to function in a different way. It will continue to do this amazing thing that can also be hard.
Yeah.
And so this is the part that I need help with, the language piece, and maybe she'll have that help for me as we go, because we're on chapter 1. So
but this is what we're doing. Okay, so if you're new here, we're
this is how we
doing
do
our
it.
first look at things, and then if she has, I think that's what's fun, is like you just sort of are allowing yourself to like process it and then see, okay, I need support, I need language, and maybe she'll have that for us. But like if we were just to skip through it really quickly, we wouldn't have come to this moment, you and I.
Yeah.
Because I think we both need language around this specific phrase of he's never going to have a butler.
Yeah.
Because, when you had said that, and this is what we had talked about before, is that I felt, well, damn, if he's never going to have a butler, I'm never going to have a butler. And I know what it's like to not have a butler. And I don't want that for somebody I love.
Yeah.
And then it just made me feel like I was deficient. Because then it's like, well, then what good am I on this earth if I don't have a butler? And I think that there's something to be said that there's a lot of things that are good for me, but like I don't have a succinct way yet. Like I was like we were both in it in that moment, right? We were both like knowing that this phrase needed to change, but like having no strategy, no understanding, no ability to change it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we were wanting to talk about today a little bit too, is like how do we rethink that? Because I don't know. I'm like, I still don't know. I'm like, if I don't have a butler, and when you think about the butler, guys, we're talking about like the person, your personal assistant, the somebody who can like remember your to-dos and who remembers like, I got to do this first. Like if you're going to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, I go and I get the bread, I get the plate, I go and I get the knife, and I do one side. These are all the things that you're trying to do that your butler should be telling you. And
Your
I kid you
internal
not,
butler.
yeah, like I swear sometimes like I have that butler, but sometimes I don't. And sometimes I'm like, if I have to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, I'm just like, what? Like, I feel like a caveman who's like just like slap fun thing together. I don't even make the bread. I just like scoop out some peanut butter and then I scoop out some jelly, put it in my mouth, and then I have a piece of bread. I seriously have done that once. Yep.
Well,
did it.
part of it is, I think, as we're looking at this, though, it is that idea of like, how do we have a different way of saying it? And the reality of what that means for a parent is that, there's a certain age your kid's supposed to be able to tie their shoe, for example. Right? Like there's these weird milestones that you're judged on as a parent.
Who made these milestones?
I don't know. Probably Martha Stewart, but I don't know. I'm joking. But just this idea that because so many people can, they collect data on these things.
Yeah,
and they say, well, on average, blah, blah, blah. Like everything's about averages, which is so silly in general. But this idea that I'm out of sync with other parents because my kid doesn't know how to make a peanut butter jelly.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
you're somewhere.
No, I'm looking it up because I'm like, who decides? The CDC and the American Academy of Pediatrics.
Yeah. So everything, right, gets cataloged, and this probably goes back to, eugenics or something. But, this idea that, this idea that there's a perfect human, right? This is actually a real thing when you look back and you see genetics and where things started off from. This idea that we'd be able to create a perfect human and all of that, what that means. But
perfect specimen. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think this idea that, your kid is out of sync and the teachers or the people are telling you that, they should quote unquote be able to do this already. And it leaves you feeling, especially if you haven't accepted that this is not going to change. And this is what this book is about. It's about brain-based disorders that are not going to change. It's not going to change now. It's not going to change when they're an adult, or it's a metabolic disorder and it's not going to change. I'm like, this is the never part, but my body is not going to process gluten better unless there's something that has, I don't know, something that happens, in science that allows it to happen better. I'm not going to be able to process dairy. Those are things that are just the way they are. And so it's not changing.
Can I be curious about your gluten intolerance for a second?
Yeah, of course.
When you first thought that like you needed to go or learned you needed to go gluten free, or kind of like you're suspecting, was it easy for you in the beginning to say like, I'm never gonna have gluten again or never gonna have dairy?
No. I think it was when I started to change my language that it helped. And so now I tend to say, especially when I'm talking to people who are first in it, I choose to eat this way because it makes my body feel better. I'm choosing to avoid dairy. I'm choosing to avoid gluten because I would prefer not to be curled up in a ball for 8 hours
Yeah.
like in pain. So it I think that's where the language changing did help. And I remember having a friend saying that to me, and I was rolling my eyes when she said it
Because you're so annoyed.
because I was so annoyed. Because also it was for me, I was such a pleaser, and I never wanted to need anything from anybody. I worked my entire life to need nothing from anyone, as best I can. I remember there was a day I had a really hard day, and I was like, had lost a friendship that meant a lot to me. And I remember I was like just in the worst state, and I think it was in the bath. And I remember having to like call you and be like, I need you to come and take care of me. Like, I'm not okay right now.
Yeah.
And I remember you like hopping in so happy. And I was like, stop being so happy that I need you. But,
oh my God, I remember that. I was like, yay, I finally get to like take care of my sister.
It was so funny. I was like, okay, thanks. Okay, great. But that idea that I would have to ask people, at Chipotle to change their gloves and to change the little, tongs. And I would be asking for this thing that I needed. And so I had to come to acceptance of that. And that took me years. I mean, it probably, I would have people order for me. And to this day still, I appreciate if somebody orders for me. And it's funny because all of my dearest friends are like, she has a gluten intolerance and she will be in so much pain if you don't figure, like they are such advocates for me way more than I am for myself still. And this is what I found this out when Josh was 3. So it's like 15 years ago. So yeah, I think because it requires me to ask for what I need. And I think that's really hard. And I think that's the same thing with parenting. Like you need something different for your kid. And it can lean into that. If you have a hard time asking for yourself, maybe it's easier to ask for your kid, maybe not. But I mean, it's definitely a difficult to be other. As a parent, you feel other. I know the kid feels other too. And I know that's really where you were coming. And I think if I'm right, is kind of how it was maybe feeling like, yes, this is awful. Like this feels awful. I don't know, but
yeah, I think it was just it is. I think it's the language, and I'm curious if the language of like, I have so many thoughts. I don't know how to process them all. But just I wonder, like, staying with your gluten intolerance, because like this is one of the things that
it's concrete,
is part of this,
right? It's concrete.
Yeah. Like, you said that it took a while for it to become, for you to accept it.
Yes.
And because like now you can say, like, it's almost like, okay, once you have accepted it, then it was okay for you to say, I'm never going to have gluten again.
Maybe. Yeah. I think it was like in the process, maybe.
Yeah. Because like, I wonder if at some point, like once I can process, going back to the ADHD part, once I can process what it is that's going on in my brain and I can accept it, then I'll be able to say, yeah, I don't have a butler and I'm never going to have one. So like, F you guys, like I can, so it doesn't feel quite so loaded.
Right.
Because like when you're just starting to learn, I think as a parent that you have a complex kid, or if the kid's just starting to learn, or you're just starting to learn you can't do these things, to think that like you could just all of a sudden go to like 1 to 100 is like not, it's like, it's not reasonable. Right. So to think that like you could just find out you have a gluten intolerance and then be like, yep, never going to have gluten again. You're like, oh, I'm never going to have a croissant again.
Yeah. I had to mourn the loss of that a lot.
Right.
And I think that's the thing that's hard as a parent, is mourning the loss of the life you thought you were going to have with your kid, right? Like you thought it was going to look one way and it doesn't. And it's hard to say that without it seeming like there's something wrong with the kid, right? Like you, when I say that, I'm like, oh, I should only be grateful. I have the greatest kid in the world. I do have the greatest kid in the world. He is amazing. He's also complex. Yeah. And it has been difficult. And I don't know that I ever actually thought, I didn't have to mourn that loss because I had you as a sister. And I never thought, I always thought, if I'm going to have a kid, I better be ready. I
Yeah.
better be ready for a Megan Rosie. And I still wasn't. but I knew you could have someone in your life who you love so much and think it's the best thing, and also be a little bit unsure how to help and how to guide. And if that's your job as a parent, that's hard, because you're like, I don't know what I already don't know what I'm doing as a parent because I'm new to this, but also I really don't know how I'm going to help this human, because I don't have all the tools in my tool bag necessarily. But I waited for a goodly amount of time before I had Josh, because I knew it was very possible I would have a kid who could be, right, needing more from me, or needing me to be curious and stay curious, right? And that was hard. But it took a long time to accept. When we go back to the gluten part, it took a long time. It took me like years to accept that it was real for me, that I really couldn't go off back to this other way of living. And I had so many signs along the way, like so many signs. I remember I was an RA, and I would love this one Chinese place, and I would order in because I would be on call and you had to be there for like 24, 48 hours or something. So I would order it in, and I remember like having to, like, it's too much information, right? But like, I remember having to, like, I would eat these noodles, loved them. They were the best noodles in the world. Can still like taste them in my mouth mind right now.
In your mound. I love it. Your mighty mound. I love it. Yes.
And I would immediately have to go run to the restroom. Wow. It was so immediate. The gluten was so, I didn't know that's what it was. Now that I was 21, it took me till I was 35 to realize. And it was because of Josh that I realized it. Because he needed to go off of it. And it actually impacted his ADHD quite a lot. It still does. So it's definitely a connection for him. He gets, his gluten intolerance tends to be more neurological than it is, his gut at this point. But one of the things that's interesting about it in going through it was I went in solidarity with him. So it was easier for me in a way, because I was like, well, I'm doing this for my kid. But then once I realized, because I had some Brooklyn pizza, which was so good, and almost died for 8 hours. That's why I say, like, after 3 months of being off, I realized, this is real. Like, and then the loss of it, you're never going to have that chocolate croissant again. That kind of never.
Yeah.
And again, then my friend coming in and saying, well, you're choosing to not do that because it hurts your body. And if you change that language, you're going to change your actions and your behaviors and your feelings around it. And I was like, well, you suck, but okay, you're right. Okay, that's true.
Fine.
Fine, you're right. But then it still took time to advocate. And it still struggles for me with that.
Why do you think, when it comes to parents, that there is such a judgment on, like, mourning the loss of the kid you thought you would have? Like, why is that not, that just seems like a basic stage of grief. And I wonder why it is that we're not allowed to feel that way with our kids.
I think there's a lot going on. I'm very conscious about staying away from social media. And I've told you that. And I really don't know. I just instinctually felt at the very beginning, like, I do have a Facebook page. I go on it maybe once a year, and it isn't a hardship for me. I know a lot of people would be like, what are you talking about? I love being on all these things. Like, I think of it like the Christmas card, right? The Christmas card we send out, and we have the family pictures. And I always am so envious of people who have, like, their family is sitting there and they're like perfectly coiffed, and like the children are smiling and so happy, and everybody just looks so like beautiful and perfect. And I literally have one picture of Josh, maybe, honestly, of he and I together.
Yeah.
Now, there might be a socioeconomic component, like there's a photographer and people wrangling the children. I don't really know. But all I know is, like, I have yet to get a picture until he was like 16 maybe, or 14, of where he stood still next to me.
Yeah.
Every picture we always joke are like these ones of, and it's the nephews too, like, but everybody's like in motion.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so, and there's one of he and I that's really cute, but I remember it. I'm like holding him like he's a wildcat. Like he is like I'm in one of those pig wrestling things. Right. And he's got a bow tie on. He looks super adorable. We're there and I'm holding him like so, and he's pushing off of me.
That
laughing.
was at my house.
It was. And it's like the cutest picture. But I remember it. I was like, I think I threw my back out that day because I was like trying to hold him next to me, you know, and he was 5 or 6 at the time. So he was older. And anyway, but I like none of that, you know, so I think this idea that you're going to have this life where children are going to sit for a picture. Okay, let's just start there. Children are going to sit down and they're going to take a picture as a family and you're going to look cute. And that never happens, right? Like it just is not possible for that to occur as far as I have experienced. So that idea of, I think, mourning that loss of it is also that you're not supposed to covet that too much either as a parent. Like you're not supposed to really want anything. You're supposed to be completely kind of,
as the kids say, nonchalant nowadays.
I don't think it's nonchalant, but you're not supposed to need anything from your kids. At the same time, you know, you're supposed to know how to parent them perfectly, right? Like there's all this weird duality that I think happens. So I don't know. I just think of the Christmas card as like my example of like the thing you might be mourning, the loss of that maybe seems shallow too. Like a little bit, like it's like really the Christmas card, that's what you're, you know, so I think there's a lot of just complexity with that, but I don't know. I would be curious what our other, you know, other parents who are listening say, because I'm sure everyone has a different response to it.
Yeah. I mean, it's so funny that you talk about the Christmas cards because like I know because of the military life, I know a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of a thing like where the pictures are such a big deal with military, especially like right before a deployment or something. They're like, let's take a family photo. And, you know, we did that with Brian and Emma once, like before his deployment. And I was like, that was just way too hard. It was like way too much. 3 ADHD people all trying to get. Yeah. But like, what's interesting though is like, I've met those people and like, it's so fascinating because like some of the people I've met, they don't have great relationships with their kids. They have this like picture perfect life.
Yeah.
But it comes at a cost.
Yes.
And I find that interesting. But I am curious. I'm what I do hear is that like it's not okay to have a loss. And I mean, I think about that with like my relationship. Like, you know, I grew up thinking like, oh, I want to have someone who's like super, you know, romantic in this very specific way. And, you know, yeah, like when I met Brian, like he's not romantic in that way, but he's romantic in other ways. And, you know, it's like I think you build up this idea of what you think the person's going to be. And then when you actually meet them, it's like there is a reality to that. And it's not to say that that person isn't amazing. It's just that like you have to like let go of this fantasy that was in your head. I'm sure like, yeah, you're gestating this child for 9 months and you've had every other thing that's happened before you've had this child. And there's probably so much like fantasy and whatnot, because that's all you have. All you have is fantasy until you actually physically meet.
Yeah. You go do the
human.
thing, right? You get the kid and they come. Okay, she says, and maybe this is part of it. I'm going to bring this up and let's see if this rings true. She says, from her perspective, that the lives of the parents are quite enmeshed oftentimes in the children's lives. She says, I said or can be. She didn't say or can be, but I think or can be. Like not everyone is this way, right? But I think you can have kind of an enmeshed thing. Like I'm going to live vicariously through my kid.
Yeah.
And I think the kid should play sports, or I think the kid should be an actor, or I think the kid should whatever.
I'm a doctor, so then you should be a doctor. I'm an actor, you should be an actor. Yeah.
And so this idea that the kid is now no longer on the path you wanted or thought, even if it was not conscious, right? Like you might have had this, like we do have these like sort of unconscious things too, sometimes of just like, again, milestones that they're supposed to be on.
Yeah.
And this idea that that's somehow connected to our own view of ourselves as parents. Like the fact that my kid isn't going to do fill in the blank somehow ties to me and who I am and my own feelings about myself. And so I think that part might be part of it sometimes and something to look at, because honestly, I think I started saying this very early, and partly because of you, which is actually beautiful once I get to it. So let me finish my whole thing before I say it wrong, probably. But I started to say kind of like, I don't know who he's going to be. I never know. I never know where he's going to end up or do. And I say it very lovingly and like I'm sure you've heard me say this to other people. Like, I don't know. Like right now he's interested in being a doctor. I don't know if he's going to be a doctor. I never would have guessed he would have been interested in that. And I really honestly mean that. I never know. And I felt like that with you too. Like I saw you live. And one of the things I think you do so beautifully is you've lived like multiple lives and multiple careers and transitioned into them and out of them, and always are in this state. I know that doesn't always feel comfortable, but you do recreate yourself on the regular and have had to for a number of reasons, right? But that's like a gift you have, and why I don't worry about him as much. You know, I mean, I still do because I'm a parent and all those things. Like, I mean, I'm me also. I'm just me. I'm like always kind of like slightly on the side of anxious. But I think that's one of the things that might be challenging is if you think they're going to be, I did for a while think, oh, I really want him to be in sports. I liked sports. I think it'll be really good. I was like the dad in the situation, right? The stereotypical dad. And I think I had that kid try every sport, right? And he does actually love sports. He just doesn't enjoy necessarily playing them. And so I had to grieve that loss a little bit. And also check in with myself. Like, what am I saying? Like, that matters? No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. As long as he's passionate about something, he's interested in what he wants to be interested in. Like, why does it matter? But I think sometimes you're not even conscious of it. And you're kind of putting these things on to kids, right?
It's so true. And like, you're talking about sports right now. And it's just reminding me that I have this like unconscious thought of you. And I don't think about sports when I think about you.
Yeah.
I know this is weird, but like I didn't, when you were doing sports and when you were
Yay,
you were in volleyball.
Yes.
Go volley sport. When you were doing volleyball, like I was much younger at the time. So like it wasn't really in my, I don't know, I remember you being a part of it, but like it wasn't in my day-to-day memories of you, like my core memories. So I just don't think of you as like a sports person, which I know you were. Like you were an athlete. And so it's like, even though I was living with you and I know you, like it didn't occur to me until you were like trying to get Josh into all these different sports. I'm like, why are you trying to get him into sports? Like, what's the big deal? And you're like, man, I was an athlete. And I was like, yeah. Oh, right. You were. And so it is true as like having this, like, I just see like you can have this like, this thought and like these, you don't even realize you're having, like, I didn't even realize I had a bias against it, thinking like, why are you, Michelle, why are you shouldn't put him in sports. Like, why? Because, and then it's like, oh, I have my own unconscious bias about it.
Well, and also like, it's so funny because I think you just come out the way you come out as a human. And I think that's part of it as well, is like, I mean, I wasn't particularly supported by our parents for doing it, you know, like I was the weird one, you know, so I was odd at the beginning, you know, so it's funny, especially being a female in the 70s and like, that's not, you know, and then, you know, are you allowed to be feminine and be an athlete, you know, like all those things were still sort of like Title IX wasn't a thing yet, you know, I think, or just becoming a thing at the time. So, but I think that's right. Yeah. Like I think as parents, you sort of have this vision of whatever, like my kid, I don't play video games. My kid's not going to be a gamer. And like, so I'm going to have to lose that, this idea of like, is it a bad thing that they're a gamer? What does it mean if they are? Right. I mean, I think there's so many pieces of this that it's,
Brian so wanted me to be a gamer. Like he was like, oh, I would love to be a gamer. And I'm like, look, if you wanted to be a gamer, you would have been and it would have worked out. But like now you get me.
Yeah.
And the fact that I'm not a gamer, I think is actually what makes our relationship work. And so it's like, but yeah, he had to mourn the loss of that. And it's like, I didn't feel bad. I didn't feel like, oh, well, that's not true. I think probably in the beginning I was like, oh, I wish I could. I wish that I could be more. And it's like, no, ultimately I'm like, I don't like games. I tried it. I mean, I like to play Animal Crossing. That's about it. Give me a puzzle. Sure. Let's work on a puzzle together. But I'm like, I'm never going to sit down and play World of Warcraft or, Fortnite or what, any of those kinds of games.
It's just not going to happen.
Nope.
Yeah. So I like two things I want to bring up from the book. One is she said, accepting our kids for who they are often means reimagining our dreams for ourselves too. And I thought that was interesting. And the second thing I wanted to bring up is Ross Green, who was the keynote at an ADHD international conference in 2019, which also I was kind of like, that'd be kind of fun to go to one of those with you and see. But anyway, he says, quote, the most important task for parents, figure out who your child is and get comfortable with it. And I love that. That's like, in the end, that's what this is, right? It's like, hopefully learning better language of how to talk about it with people so that the acceptance piece can come more easily, but figure out who they are and get comfortable with it. And what I learned right away was if I was going to take Josh to a museum, he was going to read out loud to me every single placard next to every single thing we were looking at. And, at first it was really, I was like, oh God, like, are we going to be here for 15 hours because of white? And then I remember the day that I just go, man, are you lucky or what? Your kid has a passion. Your kid wants to spend time with you and your kid wants to explain to you what they're excited about. So let's just get all gooey in it and sit in for the ride, which at the time was every old car there was in San Francisco. Like we were in San Francisco. All I wanted to do was be like, let's go to the Golden Gate Bridge. Let's go look at, go to Ghirardelli Square. No, the place he picked was the old, I don't know, Model Ts and there was some random car, anyway. Oh
my God.
Yeah, it was hilarious. But enjoy it. Cause I remember that day to this day.
Yeah. Because
I stayed present. Now I'm not saying that's easy or always enjoyable. And sometimes you're really tired and your kid is really talking a lot, but, she also says, especially with complex kids, expect the unexpected. And she says, if you can tell yourself, bring it on.
Bring it on.
Bring it on. What was that from?
That was from the ADHD guy that Josh went and saw.
He did say that. Oh, Michael. Yep. He's so great.
He's like, bring it on.
Yes.
That gives you, if you do it like that, it gives you a little hit of dopamine. So try it with us, you guys. You're going to take your hands, you're going to take your fists, and you're going to make like a power move, like muscle movement.
Yeah.
And you're going to say like Arnold Schwarzenegger. You're like, bring it on. One more time, Michelle. Bring it on. No. Yeah. Feel that dopamine surge through your bodies.
I love it.
There's your strategy for the day.
There's our strategy.
We found one.
Bring it on.
So when your kid is reading every single placard to you in the old timey car museum, you just say, bring it on, kid. Bring it on. Bring on anything you got, kid.
Mm-hmm. And I think the things I'll leave with too is you can think about anytime they're upset, it's also possibly an opportunity to help them strategize, right? And to understand that things are not catastrophic. Bring it on,
That's right.
whenever life throws at you, you've got this. And I know as parents, dealing with the intense feelings associated with acceptance, I think that's part of it. Part of the intense feelings is that it takes time for the kid and for you and for the whole family to come to that level of acceptance. And there's a lot of real work that has to be done before that can happen. And I'm not saying I'm there.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I think that's where, when these like moments of feeling other than, right? I feel other than my kid. I feel other than the other parents. I feel other than my partner. I feel other than, that leaves us with this feeling that is just, sometimes it feels unbearable.
When you say that, when you're talking about it that way, it reminds me of how I feel about myself. And so, maybe just a thought, this is just I don't know if this is right or not, but maybe like in those moments when you're feeling other and it feels unbearable, it's like, oh, I have a connection to what my kid goes through on a daily basis. And yes, we are other, but we can be other together. I think that's why Bring It On is so special, because like, let's bring it on together.
Yeah. Let's bring it on together.
Let's do it. Bring it on, Michelle.
Bring it on, Megan. Love you.
I love you too. Bye. Bye. Thanks for listening to the Spicy Brain Podcast, brought to you by Spicy Brain Studios. This week, we talked about letting go of resentment and learning how to come to a place of acceptance, which is no small task for any of us. But next week, we're diving into those parenting moments where we find ourselves saying, "This is not what I expected." We'll be learning how to reframe those moments and consciously manage our triggers when life doesn't go according to plan. And as Elaine Taylor-Klaus reminds us, when life throws you curveballs, don't keep swinging at the problem without changing your approach. There may not be one right way to do things, but there are more optimal ways that you can help your kid and everyone else involved. Make sure to follow or subscribe on your favorite podcast app. And if you're enjoying the show, leaving us a review and ratings helps other neurospicy folks find their way here too. But until then, here is to a great end of the week. Remember to stay curious
and joyful
with lots of radical acceptance. High kick. Hello, Michelle.
Hello, Megan.
Welcome to the Spicy Brain podcast. Where we are navigating. Okay, that's right. No, we are navigating curiosity. Wait,
no,
we are navigating. No, I got it. Where we're navigating neurodiversity with. Wait, yes. Where we're navigating neurodiversity with curiosity, joy, and
radical acceptance. Woo! High kick.
Yeah. Thank you to everybody who has been here. This is Megan. I'm actually starting the podcast. Can you believe it? We'll see if Michelle lets me keep this in. We'll see. Who knows? But Michelle, it's been so exciting to like have so many new people coming in.
Right?
I know. You guys, I am apparently a Twitch streamer. I don't know what that is, but like I am. We're going to be professional up in this house, I guess. And we've got a lot of people from Twitch that are now coming over to listen to the podcast, and we have a ton of people on Spotify and Apple, and you guys are just amazing. And for everybody who's been here from the very beginning, because there's a few of you who are like our OGs,
yes.
We love you.
Yes.
And we're excited just to meet everybody that's new, that's coming in, and like connecting everybody with our spicy brainers. I don't know, the chat GPT, my Kayla is what I call her. She told me I should call you guys the spicy beans.
Spicy beans.
Like, that's the most random thing, Kayla.
That sounds strange. I don't know about that one. Spicy beans. But okay, so do we want to tell people a little bit, Meg, about what we usually do on the podcast?
Yes. So what we usually do is we try to find a book that really helps us to kind of have a little bit of structure, because I have a hard time with structure, people. Guess why? Because I'm ADHD. And Michelle's got some neurospiciness too. She's got her, own dyslexia and some metabolic issues. And so what we do is we take a book and then we try to break it down a little bit. We try to come up with some, strategies if we can, but mostly we're just mostly digging in. We like to dig into like the emotions and the stories that not a lot of people like to bring forward because it's a little scary and it's a little terrifying. And then, we break it down and then just try to get your feedback, ask for the community to give feedback, and then see where we are and if we can even move on to the next chapter, because sometimes we can't. We have to just like stay with one phrase of a chapter and talk about it for multiple times. So that's a little bit of what we do here. And today we're talking about the book by
The Essential
Elaine.
Guide
Yes,
to
The
Raising
Essential Guide.
Complex Kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, by Elaine Taylor Klaus.
Yep. And this was personally asked by one of our spicy beans.
Oh God, you're really gonna try this, aren't you? You're gonna be like, I'm sticking with the spicy bean.
We're gonna stick with the spicy bean. She's a spicy bean. But yeah, somebody asked us for help on parenting, and so we thought about, let's do parenting, ADHD children, complex children. That's why Michelle picked this book, is because it's more than just about ADHD. It's about metabolic issues. It's about anything that makes you other, anything that makes your child other. That then takes this approach and really says, like, how do we live in a world where we are so focused on normality when we don't have a quote unquote normal child? And the best part about this, I think, is that it also can be applied to the personal self, the adult self, because adulting is really just parenting yourself. And so anything that we're talking about, even if you don't have a child of your own, and I don't have like my own biological child, so I think any of these things can be also applied to adults and how you treat yourself. So that's my spiel. How did I do, Michelle?
Oh my gosh, you're amazing. You did so well.
Oh my God.